Guys, welcome to Voc Rehab Bootcamp. I'm Nick the Vet. Even though I've kind of gone over the process of the first meeting, I think that's video number 2, what to expect in the initial meeting. There's a document that I created that walks you through what to say, kind of like a script, and some people were confused by it. So I just want to go through this real quickly. So if you're going to have your initial meeting, this is how it should flow. When you first walk in, ask for the business card up front, because later if they deny you, they're going to pretend they don't have one. They're not going to want to give it to you. Also, see if you can get their VREO's name and email address. It may make them suspicious, but you may need to escalate something to the VREO and just ask for it. If they act like they don't want to give it to you, just try to at least get their name. If they give you nothing, move on, but at least get their card, okay? When they say, how can I help you, okay? If you're working, your opening statement should be something along the lines of, I haven't had suitable employment within the last 3, 5, whatever years. Even though I have a job right now, it exacerbates my service-connected disabilities. I've tried to find other work, but I can't. I'm really struggling, and I need to find some other kind of work, but I can't because I need a degree. The job that I have is not allowing me to get any kind of accommodations for my service-connected disabilities, and I need some help. Something along those lines. Pull up my document at vocrehabbootcamp.com. EH and SEH Justification for more details, but that's basically what the opening statement should be, okay? If the VRC says something along the lines of, this is a job program and you already have a job, therefore you're denied. You come back and say, I know I have a job, but it's not suitable and I have to have suitable employment, and then go into the definition of suitable and why your job is not suitable, okay? If the VRC then says, your job is suitable because you've been doing it for 10 years, so it must be suitable for you, you go into the definition of suitable. Well, it's not suitable because in order to be suitable, it has to be consistent with my expressed interests, cannot exacerbate my service-connected disabilities, and it must be continuing. So make sure you understand the definition of suitable if they try to come back and say it's not suitable, okay? From there, if the VR says, they might get a little bit offended and think you're being a little uppity because you know the rules. So if they say something along the lines where it looks like they're getting offended by you, you can say something along the lines of, please know that I respect the VRNE process and I understand that counselors do have some room as it relates to the guidelines when they're ambiguous. However, the employment handicap and serious employment handicap definitions are not ambiguous, and I do meet the guidelines for an employment handicap or SEH or whatever it is. So that may piss them off, but that's the kind of statement that you have to come back with. You don't come back hemming and hawing and going, well, I really need it, and or none of that. You come back with definitive content, okay? If the VRC still insists that you're denied because you've overcome your employment handicap or your SEH, or that your work is suitable, even though you have proven to them that it's not based on the guidelines, then you need to basically say something along these lines. Considering I've laid out each part of the definition and I've shown you how it applies to me, thereby proving my entitlement, I'm very curious as to which specific part of the employment handicap definition you believe I'm not meeting. May you please advise? And then if she says, well, blah, 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 whatever she says, you go, but the criteria is 1, 2, 3, and what you just said is not 1, 2, or 3. So which one of these 3 criteria am I not meeting? And they're not going to be able to answer that. You have to really be able to hold their foot to the fire. Now for SEH, there's 9 criteria listed right here. There's a lot of stuff they can pick apart. So you may have to fight each one of those to prove that it applies to you. But that's kind of how you would get around that. Finally, if they still refuse to acknowledge your employment handicap, then what I want you to do is go to video number 15 and go to the 12-minute, 18-second mark and say exactly what I say in that video. Basically what I do is I let them know you're refusing to acknowledge my employee handicap, my employment handicap, which is a clear and unmistakable error. And when there's a clear and unmistakable error, I have a right to request a meeting with a supervisor and have them overturn it. If you have reasonable doubt as to whether or not this is a clear and unmistakable error based on this guideline, you're supposed to favor the decision towards the veteran. So if you get through the whole process and go through all these steps and the counselor still insists you are not entitled when you know you are, because you've looked at the guidelines and you know you're entitled, then you've got to, again, go to video 15, 12-minute, 18-second mark, and flip that whole little scene on them, okay? Do not let them have you fill out a form that requests a higher level review, because all they're doing is pushing it off their desk and putting you into the appeal flow. You don't want that. You want to keep it right at the VBA, okay? So again, download this document on voc-rehab-bootcamp.com. Go to scripts. This is the SEH Justification Letter. Know it, have it in front of you. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed to read it in your meeting. Who gives a crap if you have notes? Don't act like you have to memorize all this. You can say, wait a minute, counselor, let me find my spot. Let me find out what I have to say, and then read it. And then if she says something you don't understand, look through your papers and do what you have to do, okay? It can be overwhelming and seem daunting, but the bottom line is find out if you really are entitled. If you are, print out your justification letter, have your ducks in a row, go in there and get your entitlement, okay? Thanks for watching. I'm Nick the Vet.